Evaluate the discriminant for the following equation. Then use it to determine the number of distinct solutions and tell whether they are rational, irrational, or non-real complex numbers. Here we have the equation 3x squared equals negative 7x plus 5. So recall that the quantity b squared minus 4ac under the radical in the quadratic formula is called the discriminant of the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So what we need to do is we first need to put this in standard form. And so in order to put it in standard form, we're going to have to set it equal to 0. So that means we're going to have to add 7x to the left side of the equation. And then we're going to have to subtract 5 to the left side of the equation. Okay, so what does that look like? So on the left side, we have 3x squared plus 7x minus 5. And both of those give you 0, so it's equal to 0. So now it's in standard form. Okay, now in step 3, let's identify what a, b, and c is. A is equal to 3. We know that b is equal to 7. And we know that c is going to equal negative 5. Now remember, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so what happens with that? So if we plug in the value of b, we know that b is 7, and then we're going to have to square that. And then minus 4 times the value of a, which is 3, times the value of c, which is negative 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So if we go ahead in our calculator, we have 7 squared, and then minus, we have 4 times 3 times negative 5, and that gives us 109. Okay, so in this case here, that means that the discriminant is greater than 0, which means that it is positive, right? So it's positive, but it's also not a perfect square. Okay, so we'll come back to that because we want to put in our solution to make sure that we're correct. So let's make sure that this answer is 109. So in the question here, we got 109, and then there is our answer. Okay, now we need to determine the number of distinct solutions and tell whether they are rational, irrational, or non-complex numbers. Okay, so recall here that whatever the discriminant is going to tell us the number of solutions and the type of solutions. So because of the fact that this is positive, so the discriminant is positive, but the solution is not a perfect square, so therefore it's not a perfect square, which means that we're going to have 2 solutions and they are irrational. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that in here. So there's going to be 2 distinct solutions and they're irrational. So it's going to be B, and then there is our result. Now let's just graph this on Desmos just to verify our result. So we have 3x squared. We brought over the 7x, so it's plus 7x. And then we subtracted the 5. Okay, so now we can see what's happening. Now if you look at these numbers and those numbers there, they're decimals. Right? They're not perfect squares, or in this case, these numbers can keep going and going and going, which they are irrational numbers.